Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. Thank you so much for joining us here, wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we celebrate you, our loyal followers. We celebrate our team, we celebrate our guests, and we celebrate our sponsors. Thank you again for being here with us. Our show today is Hot Topic. Yes, I love this because we have guests who are coming from around the world and discussing things that people are thinking about, maybe people are afraid to talk about, maybe people are spreading the word to bring focus. So today's guest is Michael Green, and he is the head of marketing at the Kaleidoscope group of companies. Let's welcome him and find out what his hot topic is for today. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. What a privilege to be here, and thank you. Happy Christmas, everyone.
So nice to have you with us. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Chester in England.
Fantastic. We love our friends from the UK. Fantastic. So, Michael, first of all, let's just talk a little bit about the Kaleidoscope group of companies and your role there in marketing. Tell us more about what you do.
Okay, well, Kaleidoscope Group has got 5 different divisions, but at heart, we embrace people of talent with disability, both from positioning them in terms of great opportunities with corporations, and also in terms of investing in their great business ideas. And we're also a charity as well. So my job is to ensure that we're embracing our talented disabled community, whilst also working with corporations to ensure that people with abilities get the opportunity to add those abilities and talents to corporations around the world. And these are big numbers we're talking about. In the UK, we have over 14.6 million disabled people who spend £274 billion a year. And globally, it's even bigger in terms of impact. 1.85 billion people who spend over $8 trillion a year for themselves and their families. So these are important considerations. And it's also at the heart of environment, social governance, which is driving our world today. And I'm deeply thinking about all of America with the challenges which have been impacting you with the iciest time in how many years? -40, -45. I can't even imagine what you're all going through. But what you're experiencing now is driven by our impact, each and every one of us, and each and every one of the corporations around the world, and it's making a difference. And you're feeling it today, but if we don't embrace environment, social governance today, we will have no tomorrows. And we've got to be careful. We're not the dinosaurs of tomorrow, because we've got to embrace it today, because it's hitting you and it's hitting all of the world all day, every year, for the rest of us all the time. So that's why I'm here, to promote the values of environment, social governance.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for bringing this to light, especially on our platform. This is the first time we're actually talking about this. So what would you say to people who don't believe that we as humanity have any role in what's going on with the climate?
Well, I think the facts are very clear. At the heart of every business in the world, you've got environment, social governance. And that is very clear, because without embracing environment, social governance, there won't be any tomorrow. So let's just hear from a few people who are talking about ESG. So Goldman Sachs, in 2019, they had a 10-year commitment plan for $750 billion in financing, investing, and advising activities to address climate change and achieve sustainable and inclusive growth. So Goldman Sachs, one of the greatest investment groups in the world, is focusing on environment, social governance. St. James's Place, in the last few weeks, Kaleidoscope Group have worked with St. James's Place, and they are the largest investment group in the UK, and they are embracing the diversification of the advice, not only that widens opportunities for advisors, but it also broadens representation for communities they secure and live in, and more accurate reflection of the 21st century society at a time when providing high quality advice is more important than ever before. So all of their investment is driven around ESG. Nestle, the largest food and drinks company in the world, who are now focusing on commitment to ESG at the heart of everything they're doing. So they have 124.6 billion of servings of affordable nutrition with micro recruitment and fortification. So that is significant. Forbes, ESG is at the heart of all of their promotion. Amazon takes a broad science-based approach to addressing the climate crisis. They focus on a climate pledge. They focus on sustainable operations. They focus on their supply chain, and they focus on improving packaging. And they're one of the largest, if not the largest, retailers in the world. Microsoft, allowing people and their partners to empower financial institutions to meet their environmental, social, and corporate governance priorities that provide a modern, scalable, and trusted cloud platform. We're talking about some of the biggest operations in the world. Everyone has to embrace environment, social governance, because it's at the heart of change, it's at the heart of our lives, and if we don't protect it, we will have no tomorrows. And I have a key phrase: I believe in one world and one blood colour, naturally and sustainably, because that's what we have to embrace. And after COVID-19, we were all susceptible to change. The new world, a pandemic, the biggest in global history in the last few hundred years, impacted each and every one of us. It's changed the way we work, the way we operate, the way we manage, the way we communicate. And it's got to be accessible, and it's got to be embracing of disability, diversity, equality, inclusion. We're all of one world. And we also have to look after nature around us, nature, the waters, because if we don't, we will have no tomorrow. And what you're experiencing in America at the moment is a tragic reflection on we as people who've impacted our planet. And these are now life-changing impacts. And we've got to protect, because we don't want more of this tomorrow. We've got to save our futures.
That's really powerful, especially those huge companies, those global companies that are seriously putting funding and people towards this. So for people who are watching or listening and thinking, well, you know, Goldman Sachs, Forbes, let them handle it. I don't have a role in it. What do I have to do? What would you say to them?
Well, we're all absolutely part of it. And at the heart of this, we've seen over the last few years, we've seen COP26 based in Glasgow in the UK. We've seen COP27 based in Egypt. And global leaders and the United Nations, all key people were involved in that process. And the reality is, we've got to listen to what everyone says, because we all are part of it. So whilst ESG might embrace corporations, it's individuals that can follow through. And let's remind ourselves of what environment social governance is. So in terms of E, environment, it's the working practices that have been chosen. And I mean, let me preach Kaleidoscope Group. So in terms of Kaleidoscope Group, we're working practices that have been chosen both over disabled team members at heart. Encouraging them to work at times means that they can work in a comfortable environment that offers them reasonable adjustments and flexibility they need. This, together with the fact that we operate in a paperless office environment, and enables us to reduce our carbon footprint. S, social. Disability is in our Kaleidoscope NDA, and it's the background on which we and our business is built. Primarily, it falls under the S in social and ESG because it covers our community of diverse individuals from intersectional backgrounds who are marginalized and disadvantaged historically. And they're disadvantaged not necessarily because of their capabilities, but because of the lack of opportunities that are available to them. And we exist to change that at Kaleidoscope Group. Whilst we offer free advice, time and guidance to people with disabilities, we've got training programs that will help them to maximize their chances of career success. Simultaneously, we act as a catalyst to encourage organizations to work more closely with them by encouraging them to hire disabled people into their workforce. And both of these outcomings add economic value to society by helping prepare people with disabilities to become more self-sufficient and thereby reducing reliance on the state benefit system. And in terms of governance, it's about strong governance and high levels of personal and professional integrity integral to our business and every business. And the Kaleidoscope Group and the Kaleidoscope Foundation complies with all necessary legal regulations and ethical considerations over our thinking and business decisions. These are fundamental in going forward to everything that we're doing. And it's the numbers that we impact that's so significant. But the impacts you're feeling today in America, those are significant differences, because what you take in corporations, you can also look at and reflect on in the home. From every touch point that you have around the home, from the food that you buy, from the suppliers you trust, from the relationships you have, from the power that you're using, how it's provided. Every impact is both individual and corporate, and we've all got to wake up. And I'm sure we are all waking up to the impact and importance of ESG.
So well said. And I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and Kaleidoscope Group is doing. We actually have interviewed a number of people who were referred by your organization here, extremely talented and giving people. Something I just want to mention for people out there who are still doubting, all you have to do is look at the oceans. We talk about the pollution in the oceans, the plastic waste that's everywhere. And sometimes people are thinking, oh, the next generation is going to take care of it, or the big corporations. But no, we each have a role. And you talked about in the home as well as in business and corporations. What are some things that we can start doing right away to make an impact for now and in the future?
Well, I think every day, let's start with, I have a phrase, which is, I'm closer to God in the garden, at my barbecue with a glass of red wine, with friends, with family. And that for me is at the heart of life, because when I'm out in the garden by the barbecue, there are no barriers between me and God above. And the reality is, we are influencing every aspect, and it starts with nature. And we've got to embrace and protect nature. What we eat, how we prepare our food, what's the packaging of our food, what's the packaging of our drink, how much water do we consume, because we take water for granted. Well, the reality is, water is a precious commodity in certain parts of the world, but in others, it's in profusion. Okay, you've got snow and ice, which is horrific in America. Where's that water going to go when it melts? That's the next challenge for America. So what you've currently got is just the start of what you're going to experience. We're all part and at heart of that experience. We are all influencing it. So consider what you do, how you do it in the home. How do you heat your home? Is it electric? Which powers are you using? Is it solar? For example, I'll give you an example. Whilst Saudi Arabia might have enjoyed the luxury of oil and gas, as has Putin and Russia enjoyed oil and gas, the reality is that Saudi Arabia, with its solar power, could actually power the world with no oil. So solar can be a power base. Wind can be a power base. Over 50% of the UK energy is supplied by wind, because we're fortunately a little island, but we've got a lot of wind on the outside sitting in probably the waters around us, and that's driving wind power. So we've got to look at modern energies. We've got to look at our food consumption. Do we grow our food? We could do more, couldn't we, in our gardens? What else do we do? It's just the whole consideration. Any products that you buy, where is it coming from? What's the origins of it? Is it natural? Is it sustainable? It's at the heart of every move we make. We drive purchases. In the future, we will only support companies that are ethical, are sustainable, and are natural. This will drive our every investment decision. Where do we invest? How do we invest? Is it online? Do we need plastic in our cards? No, we don't. If you've got a phone, you don't even need a credit or a debit card. Your phone is your money. So cut out the plastic. Cut out the ill habits that we've got into for hundreds of years. Plastic is to be avoided unless it's recyclable and sustainable. And everything we do should be at the heart of our futures. We control it. We as individuals make choices every day, and that is vital for life, for tomorrow.
Michael, thank you so much for those thought-provoking questions that each of us can take in and say, okay, what am I doing? What is my behavior? And what can I change today? What about the corporations, the manufacturers, for example, who are manufacturing plastic and they're going to have to retool and revamp, and that takes some time. So what can you share with them?
So I think ESG is very much embracing the E. So it's the environmental criteria. That includes the energy that the companies use and takes in, it wastes and discharges, the resources it needs, and the consequences of and for living beings as a result. It embraces and encompasses carbon emissions and climate change. So every company uses energy and resources, and every company affects and influences our environment. So every company should have an environment strategy. In terms of social criteria, that's addressing the relationship between your company and its reputation that it fosters, both with its people and the institutions and its partners in the communities in which they operate. And where do they do business? How do they do business? So it includes labour retention and relations and disability, diversity and inclusion. And every company operates within a broader and diverse society. If you embrace disability, diversity, equality and inclusion, you will have a better company team. You will have greater staff interaction, greater communication, greater operational excellence. And actually, this will drive greater profitability, because through it, you're driving greater customer loyalty and communication, because they want to embrace what you're doing, because you are putting the customer, people, and the environment at heart And they want to support companies that do that. So they'll come back again and again. You don't have to be just Apple that does that. You don't have to be just Tesla because it's providing the electronic solution of today and tomorrow. It's about loyalty and providing a product that embraces environment, social governance. And then in terms of governance, governance is integral to all business operations. What are the key performance indicators that are measuring those boards and those shareholders, importantly, shareholders, the investments, not only of your today, but also tomorrow? It's your pensions, it's your future. You've got to invest in companies that are environment, social, governance focused. And it's about proactivity. It's about ongoing excellence. It's about the controls, the procedures that those companies adopt in order to govern themselves. And if you take a company, the largest food and drinks company in the world, for example, who I've also worked with, Nestle, they embrace and welcome community projects that are embracing of environment, social governance in every part of the world in which they operate. And that says it all to me. If that's at the heart of their corporate strategy, then it should be at the heart of every corporate strategy in the world. And that will embrace our tomorrow.
It's a lot to think about. I'm mulling it over. Thank you. So for people who are interested in doing business with companies that have embraced this and are moving forward, how do we find out that information? If they're not actually marketing it and sharing that information with the public, how do we find out?
I think that's a great question, JACALYN. And I would cite one clear organization, and we're partners of this organization. It was launched at Davos a few years ago by Caroline Casey, the chief executive, and that is the Global 500, the Valuable 500, thevaluable500.com. Thevaluable500.com is an organization which consists of the top 500 chief executives in the world who said, we want to embrace disability, talent, diversity, equality, because if we do so, we'll have better teams that drive our business going forward. And this is a group, not only with the 500 top chief execs in the world, but over $13 trillion in annual sales, over 40,000 people through those 500 companies. And they want to recruit right. They want to recruit talent. They want to embrace ESG. They want to do things properly and effectively, not only for people with talent, but also to protect our world going forward. And I think that's the best group I could pinpoint, other than the Kaleidoscope group or the kaleidoscopefoundation.org, because we have people at heart and we have nature and sustainability in every one of our decisions every day.
And it sounds like this is a great opportunity for recruiters or headhunters to embrace ESG as well and get on top of it and start to make recommendations that are more inclusive and diverse.
Absolutely. I mean, over the last 100 years, if you look at corporations that think they're at the forefront, under 3% of their recruitment has been people of disability and diversity. And the reality is, in world terms, those people are over 23% of the global population. That's not just in recruitment opportunity, that's also sales opportunity. So what companies have done for the last few hundred years is they've ignored recruiting great talent who are generally very, very able. Let's take neurodiversity. Neurodiversity, the number one person in the world at the moment, who's the wealthiest man in the world, Elon Musk. He is neurodiverse. When you see him, his talent, his ability, how do you get that? Yes, he's neurodiverse. That drives the sales. That drives the opportunities. That drives the service excellence. That drives the focus on ESG, because electronic cars, yes, that's where we're going. He was there first. He's the largest company in the world, and it's certainly the largest car company in the world. That also feeds back to shareholders. But these are the fundamentals that we've got to embrace, and that's what I'd really urge us all to do.
I love the passion and the commitment that you have. How would you describe the culture at Kaleidoscope Group?
Well, I think, Hardeep is our chief exec and founder, and he started the company because he was impacted by the tsunami, 2004, 2005. The tsunami was a natural phenomenon. And as a result of the tsunami, he experienced the birth of his son with cerebral palsy, and that drove the creation of Kaleidoscope Group, because he said that every individual in the world has talent, and we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and we've got to embrace our strengths and clearly undermine our weaknesses, but the strengths always overpower the weaknesses. That is what disability is. If you are blind, you will be strong in your hearing, you will be strong in your other sensual touch points. The body, whether it be what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you hear, what you feel, drive the sales of every product and every service in the world. And so that is what I would urge everyone to consider. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses, and it's those that will drive our futures. But we must protect our senses, and we must go where our senses tell us to buy. That drives our loyalty as well. Every product in the world that's successful profitably is driven by our sensory abilities, and it will be forever thus.
Absolutely. And I really admire and respect Hardeep. He and I had a show together for a while, and we used to talk about the fact that disability can look different, and it might even be invisible to the outside world. And I know for me, I have 3 autoimmune diseases, and they've really had an impact on my life. And I remember I was in corporate, and one of the executives said to me, "Do you think you have enough energy to keep doing this job?" And in front of an entire group of people. And I thought, wow, that's really inappropriate. And the reason I bring it up is because if someone has a disability, they don't necessarily want to be labeled as disabled. They are able-bodied and able to do things that people could never consider that they could do. Like, I'm doing this television network, and who would have thought that? So what would you say to people who are out there and have some type of disability, but are completely able, but they don't want to let people know about the disability?
We're all unique and individual, and what I would reflect on is some experiences that I've had in my life that shape my life going forward. The first, I was 20, I lost my father at 44 from diabetes, late diagnosis. I've lost close friends from a young age with multiple sclerosis, but they made a significant difference during that time. We're all impacted by people like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had disability as well and was neurodiverse. He created the #1 communication platform in the world ever. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk have all ability and disability, but we know them for what they've created. And everyone has that ability to make a difference. And we all have these abilities and disabilities, but if we go with our strengths, we can make a difference that is life-changing to everyone tomorrow. And the key is we are not alone. Any individual in the world is because they have a family, they have partners, they have relationships, we have friends, we have community. And what's important for us all to do is work with our family and our friends and our communities, because we are of all one world and one blood colour, and we've got to protect the world around us together. Because if we don't, we won't have a tomorrow. And the reality is, together we win. Together we create. Together we innovate. Together we drive change that protects our tomorrows. And it's together that we bring our world of life enhancing moments.
Brilliant. I absolutely love what you just shared. And I love your take on this. I feel like as a result of the pandemic and the fact that we are more able to reach out to people across the world, more people are looking at sustainability. They are looking at these topics that are very hot and they're saying, hey, let me get involved. What can I do? It used to be, I know when I was in corporate, if you wanted to contact the CEO of a company, you had to go through all these different layers. And as a result of the pandemic, you could go over to Clubhouse and the online app and you could reach out to someone. So we have the ability to connect and to come together. It's just about leadership, I feel, and each one of us is a leader. We just need to put ourselves into motion.
Absolutely. The last year, 2 years with COVID-19, number one, which impacted the whole world, we've then got on top of that, we've got the issues in Ukraine, which has driven the oil prices and the susceptibility we all have to the oil and what that's doing to drive inflation. We've got the Chinese situations, which are unprecedented as well, with Taiwan to the threats there. There are many different impacts at the moment in world terms, but what we've got to do is work together, and it is communicating together. We can't blame governments. We vote in governments. All of us are responsible for who we voted for. All of us are responsible. I mean, in European terms, I look at Brexit. That was a majority, but the government at the time assumed it was a no-brainer. No, it wasn't a no-brainer. People said we'd say remain. No, we did not, because the students were all doing their exams. They didn't vote because they thought it was a no-brainer. It's never done till it's done. And the reality is we are driven by data, horticulture, nurture, and harvesting, because what goes around comes around. And we as individuals all have a vote, all have a right, and we can make a difference. And we've got to care, and we've got to work together to make the right decisions at the right time to save our world for tomorrow, naturally, sustainably, and together we win.
Such a powerful message that you're delivering today. And I really do appreciate and respect it. We've had people here on this platform who are doing sustainable fashion, which is so amazing. And I think if in our own homes, if we think about how much waste there is, or the clothing, or the plastic, it's overwhelming. I know myself, just taking out the garbage for recycling, I think to myself, isn't there some other packaging they could come up with? So I personally am going to look at what I'm buying and what the packaging is. And if it's in plastic, it's got to be a no. And if everybody did that, the message would come through and the manufacturers would have to change what they're doing because their sales would go way down. They'd have to find a way to adapt.
It's all about the circle of opportunity, JACALYN, because what we have used in our packaging is either paper, card, or plastic. But the reality is, where does paper come from? Where does card come from? It comes from trees. Where does money come from? It comes from trees. And we've got to ensure that whatever we do, we are planting more trees. So, for example, if you're going on a holiday, what are your carbon emissions from taking a plane? What are your carbon emissions if you're getting in a car going anywhere? How are you offsetting that? In what we do every day, do we offset it? Click a tree, plant a tree. We should all be planting a few trees every day, because if we don't protect the Amazon and the trees, once again, we won't have the nature that we are all enjoying around us today. We've got to plant more trees. We've got to be more sustainable. We've got to think, for everything we take, what are we putting back? In our gardens, what are we doing in our gardens? Is it recyclable? Are you recycling your your waste. You know, if you're having a Nespresso capsule, you know, they can be recycled now. Are you recycling them? Every purchase we make, we have a choice. Are we making the right choices for tomorrow to exist? That's what we should be focusing on. And as a community, we should be working together. These are important discussion points that should also be at the heart of every government decision every day.
Every government and also every home, every kitchen table.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. We all have choice. Let's make the right ones.
And of course, as we come to the end of this year, what a great time for us to change our own behavior and be part of the solution, as opposed to pointing fingers and saying, let somebody else do it. Let us each do our part.
I agree, JACALYN. You know, I'm excited about this year. You know, I'm going to be 58 on the 23rd of January, 2023. So this is a big year for me. That's the 23rd, the 1st, 2023. A little bit spooky. But, you know, I always reflect the last time when I was 23, my grandfather and I, we took a trip to the Caribbean, and we had life-changing experiences with amazing people. And I always reflect on the Caribbean, and I heard at that time that in a few years' time, the beach won't even exist because the water levels are rising. And sure enough, the beaches have disappeared in Barbados, let alone. And things are changing. The water levels are rising. But I heard it when I was 23, and I'm 58, and God bless, I'm still alive. So I'm seeing all of this change. But now it's fundamental for all of us to make change to our lifestyles, to our purchases, so we can protect our world tomorrow. Because if the water levels rise, we might be like the dinosaurs of the past. And I don't want to be a dinosaur. I want to live to 120. I want to enjoy my life and my family and the community. And let's all have a focus that if we don't change what we're doing, we might not see tomorrow.
Absolutely. Just a quick story I want to share. We have a family home for 40 years and it's on the bay. And, you know, you look outside, you see how beautiful it is. And over the last few years, the wetlands have literally disappeared. And the birds, there were so many different types of species and animals, and they're gone. And it's actually terrifying. And there was a very bad storm, hurricane this year. And the water literally came out of the bay and it was coming across into the street at a level I had never seen before. And I thought, this is it. It's happening. It's happening right here at our home. So you don't have to look far to see what changes have taken place, and we have to step up and take care of Mother Earth and each other.
Absolutely. Well, let's look in America at the moment. I mean, I'm seeing houses that have got ice around them. It's unbelievable, the visions that we're seeing here in the UK. And I'm feeling for each and every one of the Americans for experiencing this, and heaven help us all. This could come to us all in our own unique environments. So we have to be very careful, and we've got to God bless every day we're alive, because there is no guarantee for tomorrow.
Amen to that. I totally agree. Michael, I'm going to spotlight you again. Please let our audience know how people can reach out and who you would like to contact you.
So I'm here as head of marketing at Kaleidoscope Group. Our email, it's michael.green@kaleidoscope.group, or our website is kaleidoscope.group, or indeed our charity, which is the Kaleidoscope Foundation.org. And we are here. You'll be able to contact us through that. But we want to help people with a passion for life tomorrow. We work with people with disabilities. We work with companies and wanting to embrace disability and talent. But at the end of the day, we are here as a platform to help people, to help communities, to be accessible, to be innovative, to be life-changing, because we've got to embrace all of these opportunities for tomorrow. And we are a social hub. We're a network. We're interested in making life enhancing moments. That's what we work with. So if you need help, if you need support, Kaleidoscope Group are here for you. We will also then work with the valuable500.com, and they are also a very valuable resource of opportunity. And interestingly as well, I mean, we work with Department of Work and Pensions here in the UK, but we also communicate across Bloomberg and also Forbes in the United States and globally. So we are here to help people. So it'd be a pleasure to assist in any way that I can.
An outstanding interview. Thank you for all of the information you shared today. As I mentioned before, it's given me reason to take a pause and say, let me really look at what I'm doing, what my family's doing. I encourage everyone to do the same. And congratulations on what you and Hardeep and your teams have built at Kaleidoscope Group of Companies. It's really phenomenal. You are very heart-centric people.
Well, thank you, Dr. JACALYN. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to talk and share what we do, and we can help so many more, but we all can make a difference. And yes, God bless you all. Happy New Year 2023. And each and every one of us can make a difference today for tomorrow to exist.
That's right. Let's start now. And please do come back and see us and give us any updates. Tell us how we're doing.
I will indeed, JACALYN. Privilege. Take care. God bless.
Thank you. God bless you too. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye. Do you see why I love what I do? It's amazing that we're enlightened in so many ways. So I hope that you out there, whether you're watching or listening on the live or the replay, that you start to look around at what you're doing and how you can make a difference. It's really important. I remember 10 plus years ago going on a cruise that I earned for some company trip, and just it was Alaskan cruise, and looking out at the iceberg, and it was just melting. I mean, it was at such a rate, and I thought to myself, wow, this is an eye-opening experience. And all these years later, we look at all of these weather-related things that have happened. We look at species that are no longer here. We look at the oceans filled with pollution and plastic and waste, and we have to do something about it. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to save our planet and save ourselves so that we're not extinct like the dinosaurs. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I wish you a very blessed holiday. And we're coming back with the Corner Bookstore. So please do join us for that. Thank you again, Michael. Thank you to each and every one of you. And we'll look forward to coming back shortly. Bye.